Hey guys, how's it going? It's Red Wizard here. I'm going to take a look at another list, so I want you to sit back, relax. It's just me, you, and my collector's edition of Beast of Chaos Battle Tome. We're going to have a nice, relaxing little chat, and we're going to talk about the Phantasmagoria of Fate. So, as you know, by this point, probably, I'm a devotee of the dark gods, and as such I love the true children of chaos, the beast of chaos. So tonight is special, right? Because we're going to get a little crazy. Let's see, what do we want to do here? So we got beast of chaos. Alright, so let's get our battalion cracking. Let's see. So tonight is going to be a Zinchi kind of night. So what do we need for our Phantasmagoria? Would you like to say that? Phantasmagoria? It's a fun word to say. Okay, so this is a pretty big battalion. You can do pretty much anything you want. So I'll read you what we have to have here. So 1 to 4 Beast of Chaos heroes. Alright, cool. 3 to 9 units of Bestigor, Ghor, Zangor, Ungor, or Ghor Raiders, and 0 to 9 units of Bolgors, Synagors, Dragon Ogres, Zangor Enlightened, Zangor Skyfires, Tuskor Chariots, and 0 to 2 Cygors or Gorgons. So basically this is a one-drop army situation, right? You can pretty much put whatever you want in here. So it costs us 200 points. This is a Zinch battalion, so it's going to give all of our beasties a Zinch keyword, and it's also going to give us this ability here, Devourers of the Arcane. Units from this battalion that do not have the wizard keyword can attempt to unbind one spell in the enemy hero phase in the same manner as a wizard, if they are within 9 inches of the caster. So any unit that is within 9 inches of the enemy caster can attempt to unbind the spell. So that's pretty sexy. So I love the Zangor models when they came out. And I've got several Zinch lists that are Zangors. So one of the things you have to decide if you want to do Zangor army is, do you want to run Beast of Chaos Allegiance or Zinch? So I think there's pros and cons to both ones. The Beast, you're going to get the Great Fray that we'll talk about here in a minute, and you're going to get the Herdstone and their specific allegiance abilities. So most of the stuff in this list is going to be Bray Herd, so it's going to give you the ambush. So this one is going to be Beast of Chaos Allegiance, and then I have another one that's pretty similar that I run as Zinch, so it'll be maybe one of the future list builders. So alright, so pretty much anything we take is going to be in our battalion. So we're going to get the Zinch keyword, like we said, and a chance to unbind spells. So what do we want to do here? So let's talk about, you know what? Before we get into what we're going to take, let's talk about the allegiance ability. So Beast of Chaos is pretty cool because you've got kind of 3 factions, the Bray Herds, the War Herds, and the Dragon Ogres, and they all have their own unique allegiance ability. So it's all one army, but they each get their own special allegiance ability based on their keywords. In this list, I think we're all Bray Herds, so we're just going to concentrate on that, but I've got a lot of Beast of Chaos lists that are going to be coming down the pipe, so yay! Anyway, Bray Herd Ambush is their allegiance ability. Instead of setting up a Bray Herd unit on the battlefield, you can place it to one side and say that it is set up an ambush. You can, sorry, I had a little snafu with my equipment here. So where were we? We were talking about the Bray Herd Allegiance ability. So you can place it up to one side and say it is set up an ambush as a reserve unit. You can set up one reserve unit for each unit you set up on the battlefield. So half your units. At the end of the first movement phase, you must set up all friendly reserve units that are in ambush on the battlefield, wholly within 6 inches of the edge of the battlefield and more than 9 away from enemy units. Any that you can't set up are slain. So, pretty cool. We can start off the board with half of our stuff and bring it in on a board edge. So, the only thing to be careful about is, people can block you out, and then you might be stuck across the board with nowhere to go or whatever. So just keep that in mind. Alright, so now let's get into what we're going to put in our Phantasmagoria. So the first thing we're going to add are our Ghor Enlightened, and we're going to run 2 units of Ghor Enlightened. So enjoy these while you can, boys. Because they're definitely going to get points adjustment probably in the next time that they do that. So just a quick kind of side note, I guess. Zangor Skyfires. So if you've been playing for a while, you know that Zangor Skyfires are one of the most hated units around, because they came in kind of undercosted and people were running like 18 of them, and before they got changed they could do mortal wounds on a 4 or 5 up, and they were good, let's just say that. But then they kind of got I think overpriced. I think they went to 220. That's kind of crazy. I think the right price for these guys is probably 160, and the right price for Skyfires is probably 180. You got to remember that they are dependent on the Enlightened Shaman, which we're going to get to here in a minute. So I think that's going to shake out kind of to those points eventually. So kind of like I said, I think we've still got some time with these super undercosted. So let's make the most of it. All right, so we're going to run actually 6 in both of these units. Some people, I know that I think in the UK, like the big Masters tournament, somebody just won with a similar list to this. I don't know how similar it was. I know that it ran, it was a Phantasmagoria, and it ran a couple big blocks of these guys. I think he was running 9. I think that's kind of a little overkill, but they're definitely good. So, all right, so let's get into the stat lines. I got 16-inch move, 5 up save, 4 wounds each, and 6 bravery, which not great. But I mean, these guys are just like blenders. So let's get into their weapons here. They got a Zinchian spear, 2-inch range, 3 attacks, 4s to hit, 3s to wound, -1 rend, and 2 damage. So pretty good. Vicious beak. I love that they attack. I mean, that's hardcore, man. You got a spear, and after you stab them, you're gonna reach over and viciously peck them with your beak. Come on, that's why Beasts of Chaos are number 1, right? What'd you say? What? Beak attack. Okay. Anyway, vicious beak. 1-inch range, 1 attack, 4s and 5s. So maybe it's more of a love peck. 1 damage. Then you got the disc, teeth and horns, 1-inch, D3 attacks, 4s and 3s, -1 D3 damage. So the disc are pretty good in melee. So you can also take these guys on foot. Just a quick aside, for 100 points, I think. But for 40 points, you get like +10 move and the disc attack. So I don't know why you wouldn't take the. I mean, maybe if you just have 100 points that you've got left over or something. Anyway, let's see. So, pretty good attacks there. Let's look at their abilities. The leader gets add 1 to his attack with the spears. So, babbling stream of secrets. This is important. If an enemy unit fails a battle shock test within 9 of any friendly Ghor Line units, add 1 to the number of models that flee. So, that's more important than you think. Guided by the past. This is the real kicker here. in the combat phase, you can re-roll failed hit and wound rolls. Let me repeat that. In the combat phase, you can re-roll failed hit and wound rolls for attacks made by this unit if one or more enemy units within 3 of this unit have already fought in that phase. So, you have to fight after whoever you're in combat with, basically. Right? Kind of. We're going to talk about how we're gonna trick that. Or not trick that. I don't know. It's in the middle of the night. Give me a break. How we're going to use that ability, because that's what really makes these guys ridiculous, is re-rolling everything. The 2 damage. So 2 damage, -1 red, like we talked about, and you're re-rolling everything. It's pretty nasty, pretty quick. So these guys are our 2 little blender units that are going to do a lot of work for us. So, all right, see, what else do we need? So let's go ahead and do these guys. So we're going to take a couple of units of Ghor Raiders. And the reason we're going to take some of these Ghor Raiders, well, there's a couple reasons. So Ghor Raiders, 80 points for 10 of them, 1 wound each, 6-inch move, 6 up save, bravery 4. Oh, poor Ghor. So let's take a look at their weapons here. They got a bow, 18 inches, 1 attack, 4s and 4s, no red, 1 damage. They got a jagged shank. Shank your ass. 1 inch range, 1 attack, 5s and 5s, 1 damage. So, meh. Half Horn is the leader. This unit, he gets +1 to hit rolls. I hate it when they do that. I hate it when they make the leader have +1 hit rolls or wound or something. Because now I gotta roll a different colored dice or something. It's a pain in the ass. Don't do that, G-dubs. Just give him an extra attack or something else. Anyway. So he gets +1 to hit. Brayhorn. Blah, 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 blah. They can run and charge. A lot of the stuff in this book can run and charge with the musician, so that's good. Banner Bearer. Move an extra inch when it runs or charges, or piles in, I think. Yeah, move an extra inch when it runs or piles in. So, cool. Here's the real reason that we're taking these guys. Vile Invaders. After the armies are set up, but before the first battle round begins, this unit can move up to 6 inches. So, we get a Vanguard move with these guys. And what we're going to do is put them out in front, and then we're going to move them in the way of whatever we want these Ghor Enlightened to kill. Right, because the Ghor Enlightened on their spear attacks have a 2-inch range. And the Ghor Raiders are 25 mil bases, so about an inch. So we're gonna, get these Ghor Raiders in the way, and then we're going to hang back with our Enlightened until whatever is in combat with the Raiders attacks. Then we're going to attack with our Enlightened and rinse whatever it is, probably. So, we can just having the Vanguard's pretty significant, because even if we decide to use, we have some other units we can kind of do the same trick with for the Enlightened. So these guys are just the ultimate chaff, right? Because they can get out in front of everything, or they can move up and grab an objective real quick. They can run and charge. So. It's just a good unit. Another ability they have, Baying Anger. So you can reroll hit rolls of 1 for attacks made by this unit with missile weapons while it has 20 or more models. Or reroll hit rolls of 1 and 2 for attacks made by this unit with missile weapons that has 30 or more models. So that's not going to come into play for us in this list, but it's just an awesome ability they have. So if you want to run big blocks, in some of the other Beast of Chaos list that I will talk about in future videos, we'll be running big blocks of these guys to take advantage of that. Anyway, the Vanguard move, as it was previously called, I've been told, that 6-inch move is pretty sweet. So Most of the time what I'm trying to do though is line these guys up so that I can bring in the Enlightened behind them and take advantage of that Guided by the Past ability so that we can reroll everything for the Enlightened, which is so ridiculous, but we'll take it, right? We like stuff like that. That's, hey, Zinch knows what's up. Okay, he already knows. So what else we got? Let's go ahead and do our regular Ungor. So we're going to take a couple units of just Ungor for battle line. So we're taking the Ungor because we can do the same trick with them. They can run and charge. They've got a 6-inch move, 6 up save, 1 wound, bravery 4. Poor Ungor. They're scared. Anyway, one of them we're going to leave hang back by our Herdstone, and we'll talk about that here in a minute, why we're going to do that. The other one, like I said, we're going to run out as Chaff, or kind of do the same trick for the Enlightened, get them up somewhere. So, these Ghor Raiders that we used the first time, they're going to get killed or run away, right? And then fly away with our giant move here, and run up behind whatever's engaged with one of these units, probably. So we got 2 battle line with these guys. We'll run through their stats real quick. Ungor Blade is their weapon, 1 inch, 1 attack, 4s and 4s. You could arm them with spears. So if you're going to run a big block, I would go with the spears probably, because you got a 2-inch range on it. It's 5s and 4s instead of 4s and 4s, but you're going to get a lot of extra attacks, so I would go with the spears if you're going to do the big blocks. But anyway, we're not going to do that in this list. Let's see. Add 1 to the attacks for the leader. Thank you. G-dubs. Brayhorn, run and charge. Banner bearer extra. So same thing as the Ghor Raiders on that. And the same thing for Braying Hatred, except it's for melee attacks instead of shooting, okay? Half shields, so our guys are going to take the half shields. Add 1 to save rolls in melee, so instead of a 6, they'll have a 5. Alright, so that's those guys. What else? So let's talk about the Herdstone real quick, because it's going to be important to our plans here. So the Herdstone is the Beast of Chaos terrain feature. So everybody's getting a terrain feature these days, and ours is pretty sweet. So let me read you the abilities here. Entropic Lodestone. Subtract 1 from save rolls for attacks that target units within 6 inches of this terrain feature. At the start of each battle round after the first, add 6 to the range of this ability. Beast of Chaos units are not affected. So subtract 1 from the save rolls. That's a pretty big deal, okay? And it's going to grow every turn. So eventually we're going to be getting basically an extra rend on everything. So that's pretty nasty. Locus of Savagery. Beast of Chaos units that are within 6 of this terrain feature do not take Battle Shock test. At the start of each of your battle rounds, add 6 to the range of this ability. So it's basically both of these are growing every turn, and thank God, right? Because look at our bravery. It's not very good. So subtract 1 from save rolls, and we don't have to take Battle Shock test when we're in the beautiful warming glow of our Herdstone. And we're going to start with 6 inches, and it's going to go from 6 to 12 to 18, etc., etc., right? So set this up in the middle of the board, as close to the middle of the board as you can, so that it'll cover the most area, and it's going to be handing out basically rend, an extra rend to everything, and yikes, right? So you're Enlightened or reroll and everything. They basically have 2 rend when they're close enough to the Herdstone. Whew. Okay. So the other thing the Herdstone does is our summoning mechanic here is tied to the Herdstone. So our summoning mechanic is called Primordial Call. And at the start of your hero phase, you receive one Primordial Call point. In addition, in your hero phase, you can choose to have one of your heroes within 3 inches of the Herdstone do a blood ritual. Pick a Beast of Chaos unit within 3 of the Herdstone. That unit suffers D3 mortal wounds. For each mortal wound inflicted, you receive an extra call point. Okay, so guess what? Ungor. Hey, Ungor, come here. I need to tell you something. Come here. And then you bash their brains out, and you get a primordial call point. So one of these units is just going to hang out by the Herdstone and get sacrificed so that we can summon stuff. Let's go ahead and run through what we can summon real quick, and it's a long list, so we'll be quick here. 3 call points, 10 more Ungor. Poor little guys. 3 Razor Gore, not going to use it. 3 Chariot, Tuskor Chariot, and maybe 3 Chaos Spawn. 4 Ghor Raiders, that's a good one. 4 regular Gores. 4 Chaos Warhounds. 4 Centaurs. 5 a unit of Zangor Enlightened. That's probably where you're going to look. 5 a Cockatrice. So the Cockatrice is interesting because it has like a mortal wound stare. That's pretty good. So maybe that might, if you really need to knock out a hero or something, but probably not. 6, 10 Best Score. Best Score are awesome. 7 Zangor Enlightened on disc. Yeah, we like those. 7 Dragon Ogres. 8 Jabber Slythe. 8 Bulgors. 9 10 Zangors. 9 a Cyagor. 9 a Chaos Gargant. Or it's a giant, guys. 10 for 3 Skyfires. 10 for Gorgon. 10 for Chimera. So I said Chimera, didn't I? Chimera, whatever. So that's what you want. I mean, the Chimera comes in, it just stomps everybody's face. It's pretty ridiculous. So the things you're going to look for are either you're going to spam like the Ungors just to come out and either replace the unit that you bash their brains out to get more points, or get in the way of stuff, or you're going to save up for the Enlightened on disc or the Chimera probably. So anyway, the summoning in this army, I think I use it. You know what else I like to summon is Centaurs, because they're so fast. I kind of talked about them in my last Nurgle list, so go check that out. Anyway, I use this summoning more offensively, so when I bring on Big Boy Chimera in turn 3 and just like wreck whatever he's by, yeah, people get sad. Anyway, that's the summoning, so that's why you're going to have one unit of Ungor chilling by the Herdstone there. Okay, back to what are we looking at here? Ooh, we're already 1,000 points. All right, so we need one more battle line unit, and this is we're going to get some bodies here, some quality bodies, because we want. What do we want? Where the hell? What? Who? When? Am I blind? Am I going insane? Oh, they just put a bunch of weird shit afterwards. Okay, so Zangors. We want all the Zangors. So we want a big ass block of Zangors, because Zangor models are awesome and we want to use them. And they're kind of badasses. So let's take a look at the Zangor. So I used to run Zangor a lot in my Tzeentch stuff before Tzeentch got kneecapped. It's so unfortunate that Tzeentch got abused by the nerf bat. I mean, it was really just the change host, guys. It was really just the change. You didn't have to just destroy everything. But anyway, I'm being kind of a dick to G-dubs tonight, but that's okay though. They're not gonna want me and my 2 buddies out there. We can tell each other secrets, right? You know, I trust you guys. Anyway, so these guys used to be just crazy good. Now they're just really good. So I guess we can live with that. A lot of people hate playing against them because there's so many, like you can do different weapon loadout and stuff, and it drives people crazy. But anyway, let's take a look here. So we got movement 6, 5 up save, 2 wounds each, bravery 5. So we're running 30, 6, 7, 8. So we're bravery 8 as long as, you know, I mean, they're going to die, but at the first couple whacks, you won't run away. But hopefully by that time your Herdstone's bubble has caught up with you. So yeah, be mindful of that though. So let's see how we're going to do this here. Let's just go through the Warscroll, and it's long Warscroll. So we got, first let me tell you what they can have, because they got a lot of crazy stuff going on. So they can, like I said, they can mix weapons, and we'll get to what we're going to take here in a second. I just want to make sure that we understand everything that's going on here. Each model in the unit is armed with one of the following weapon options, okay? So you can take a pair of Savage Blades, or a Savage Blade and Arcanite Shield. Okay, so those are our 2 options for our main Zangor troops, okay? 2 in every 5 models can replace their weapon option with a Savage Great Blade. So 2 in every 5. Okay, so let's go ahead and do that, because we're going to max that out, right? So at 30, we've got 6, right? So that's 12 guys. God, I hope my math is right. So that's 12 guys that can take the Savage Great Blades. So they're the big, like, you know, the nasty weapon here. So let's go ahead and look at the Savage Great Blade. So it's 1 inch range, 1 attack, 4s and 4s, -1, 2 damage. So -1 rend, 2 damage. Like I said, once the Herdstone catches up with us, it's like them having 2 rend, right? So that's pretty nasty. Okay. All right. So we got our those guys out of the way. So now Zangor mutants. 1 in every 5 models in this unit can be a Zangor mutant, armed with a pair of Savage Blades, and of course we're going to have a vicious beak. Add 1 to the attack characteristics of a Zangor mutant's pair of Savage Blades. Okay. So now 1 in 5 can be a mutant that gets a bonus, so we want that. So mutants have to have a pair of Savage Blades. So now we've got 6 mutants. Okay, and they're going to get +1 attack, and they're going to have the Savage Blades. Okay, so what are we at? 12 plus 6 is 18 of our 30. Okay, so what else we got? Twist Bray is the leader of this unit. Add 1 to the hit rolls, of course, that for attacks made by Twist Bray's melee weapon. So we'll probably just make him one of the Savage Great Blades, doesn't matter. Or we might make him a shield guy, because we're going to talk about, we're actually, in my last video I said don't be a dick and run like 1 guy with the shield and use the shield ability, but guess what we're going to do? We're going to be a dick. We're going to use that same thing I said not to do. Okay, anyway. Icon bearers. 1 in every 10 models in this unit can be an icon bearer. While it is out there, it can use ornate tomes ability. Oh Jesus! All right, so let's read the ornate tomes. While this unit has 1 or more icon bearers, at the start of your hero phase, you can pick an enemy unit within 18 of this unit invisible to it. Roll a number of dice equal to the number of wizard units that are within 9 inches of this unit. That's friend or foe. For each 4, that enemy unit that you targeted suffers 1 mortal wound. So, wizards around you, you know, you're not going to have, you might have 1 or 2 of your wizards, and then maybe 1 or 2 of theirs. So it's not huge. Like in Tzeentch, this can get pretty ugly. But in this in the BOC, you know what, I'm not gonna use those abbreviations. We could get in trouble real quick. So Beast of Chaos, and Beast of Chaos, that's not gonna be a big deal, but don't forget about it, because it's maybe a couple mortal wounds. It doesn't affect our things here. So we got 1 icon bearer. We got our musician. Let's see. Let's read our shield thing because we still haven't decided what all we're going to do here. So, roll a dice each time you allocate a wound or mortal wound to a friendly Zangor unit that has any models armed with Arcanite Shield. On a 6-up, that wound or mortal wound is negated. Okay, so let's take a break here and talk. Let's talk. Me and my 2 buddies that watch this channel. They wrote the rules like this. It's not our fault. Don't get mad at the players for playing the rules like they're written. Okay, so I'm going to take one shield guy. And, you know what? I'm going to make him the Twist Bray. Okay? So my leader's going to have a shield, and he's such a badass that anytime you try to hit any of his boys, he's going to intercept with this shield first. Okay? So take that. So, they should change the rules probably to make you have to pick, but right now this is how it is, so we're going to take advantage of it. I just said not to do this a couple videos ago, but it just makes such a big difference with 30 block that we're going to do it. Like I said, they need to change it because I feel dirty doing it, but I'm not going to not do it. So, all right. Anyway, back to the list. So we got our Twist Bray, the incredible badass who intercepts everything. So he's going to give everybody a 6-up save for wounds or mortal wounds. Okay, so now what do we got? We got 18, 19, we're at 19 dudes. So we got 11 more guys, right? So all 11 of them are going to get pair Savage Blades. So let's read pair Savage Blades. Add 1 to hit rolls for attacks made by a model with a pair of Savage Blades. Okay, so now our Savage Blade profile here is 1 inch range, 2 attacks, 4s and 4s, no rend, 1 damage. So automatically we are now at 3s to hit. So 3s and 4s because we have paired Savage Blades. Okay. So let's see. You see why people hate this unit if you're not playing them? Sometimes when you are playing them, you hate them. So now here's the 2 big things, and this is what they changed to make these guys a little bit less than they were, and I really think they should have knocked the points down to 160, but they didn't. So maybe they'll happen later on. Destined Mayhem. Add 1 to wound rolls for attacks made by this unit with melee weapons while this unit is wholly within 12 inches of any Arcanite heroes. Okay, so an Arcanite hero is a Tzeentch Arcanite hero, so some of your Tzeentch stuff will have Arcanite heroes, and we're going to run one in the list, so they're going to get that most of the time. So now our pair Savage Blades are 3s and 3s, and our Savage Great Blades are 4s and 3s, okay? Whew, okay, see, a lot of stuff to remember with these guys. And then here's the one that they changed to kind of, I guess, make these guys more reasonable. Like, why would they want to do that? All right, add 1 to attacks, or what is it called? Let's see, Savagery Unleashed, because we are the beast. Add 1 to the attacks characteristic of this unit's melee weapons if it has at least 9 models when the attacks are being made. So we just get 1. It used to be for every 9 we got 1, so these guys would have like a shit ton of attacks and just chop shit up. Anyway, now they don't, it's just 1, but it's still pretty good. So that means we get 3 attacks with our paired Savage Blades, and we get 2 attacks with our Savage Blades, and we get 2 attacks with our Vicious Beak. Don't forget that beak, because when you got 30 beaks, those love picks start to add up. Okay, so this unit is a pain in the butt, right? It's hard to shift. It's got a 5-up, 6-up because of our badass leader with his shield. And it gets pretty choppy because we're adding the extra attacks. The Great Blades do a pretty decent amount of damage. So yeah, these guys are gonna go get us an objective, maybe 2, right? Because they might kill everybody off of 1 and go to the next one and let some Ungors or somebody jump on it. All right, so that's our big body unit. And I don't know if you've noticed this, but a lot of people like to run 2 large units. I usually don't. I usually try to go for one and just wing it. Try to get some of these other guys. I go for more killy stuff, and then try to cap with the littler ones. Hey, maybe that's why I'm sitting here making YouTube videos instead of winning tournaments. I don't know. Anyway, so where are we? 1520. What else is in this list? I don't remember. Oh yeah, we need some heroes, don't we? So, let's do Great Bray Shaman. So, this guy is going to help us out because he has a really cool ability. Let's go over his stats real quick. So he's 6 move, 6 up save, 5 wounds, terrible bravery. He's got a fetish staff. Ooh, maybe he's secretly a Slanesh goat man. No, he's a Zinchi guy. So 2-inch range on the staff, 1 attack, 4s and 3s, -1 rend, D3 damage. You don't want him in combat, so it doesn't really matter. Abilities: infuse with bestial vigor. Okay, so at the start of your movement phase, add 3 to the movement characteristic of models in friendly Bray Herd units wholly within 12 of any friendly Great Bray Shamans until the end of the phase. So guess what? Our Enlightened are going 19 because they're going to start within 12 of them. Our Zangor are going whatever we said. What did we say? Our Zangor going 6, 7, 8, 9 and running and charging. So the speed boost is just it's a little crazy. We like that a lot. So let's see. He also has magic. He's a wizard, so he can do 1 spell and attempt to unbind 1 spell. He knows Arcane Bolt, Mystic Shield, and Devolve. So Devolve has a casting value of 7. If successfully cast, pick an enemy unit within 18 of the caster that is visible to them and not within 3 of any of your friendly units. So it can't be in combat with your guys. Your opponent must move that unit up to 2d6 so that each model in the unit ends its move as close as possible to a model from the friendly unit that was closest to it at the start of the move. Wow. So, you gotta run away. Your opponent has to run away 2d6, but it has to stay as close as it can to the closest friendly unit. Your closest friendly unit. So it's a little tricky. Just read it, read through it with your opponent before the game probably, so they don't flip out later. But that's another one that will make you some friends. But it's very useful. Anytime you can move up other people's stuff. I mean, don't pick up other people's models without permission. Don't do it. But whenever you can force them to move, that's always a good thing. So. He also is going to get one of the spells here from our Beast of Chaos lore. So we're going to give him Vicious Stranglethorns. This is the guy that we're going to leave by our Herdstone so that he can generate primordial call points and we can get a Chimera. So this is going to work out well for him. So Vicious Stranglethorn has a casting value of 7. If successfully cast, pick a terrain feature wholly within 24 inches of the caster that's visible. Each enemy unit within 3 of that terrain feature suffers D3 mortal wounds. So, if people get to your Herdstone and start trying to smash you, you can cast that on your own Herdstone, obviously. Or, there might be some other terrain 24 inches away. Basically, this guy's going to be hanging back, so we'll give him that. We're also going to give him an artifact. And we're going to have to go to the Mortal Realms. These are going to be Purdy Zinch beasties from the Realm of Light. And we're going to give him... Oh, you know what? No, we're not. We don't... What am I thinking? We don't need that. We're going to take the Knowing Eye. Spoils of the Beast Herd. So we'll keep it... keep it in the family. So the Knowing Eye, at the start of your hero phase, roll a dice. If the bear is on the battlefield on a 4-up, you receive 1 additional command point. So You can always use command points, so I like that one. What else? So where are we at now? We're getting close here. So what do we need? We need an Arcanite hero, right, for our Zangors. And who better to lead Zangors than a Zangor Shaman? And one of them, we're going to do two of them. I just let the cat out of the bag, so, and that's going to get us to 20 points left. So him being the general makes our Zangors battle line. So we got 2 Ungor battle line and 1 giant Zangor block for our battle line. Okay. Alright, so let's get into the Zangor here because he does a lot of stuff for our army. So the first thing we're going to do is, since he's our general, let's go ahead and give him his trait. And we're not going to run a Great Fray with this list. Don't worry, we'll get into those later. We're going to give him the Shadow Pelt. So subtract 1 from hit rolls for attacks that target this general for models that are more than 3 inches away, so shooting attacks, basically. And the reason I like to give that to him is because he's not going to be around a 10-man unit. 10-man unit that often to get Lookout Sir. So I like to give him a little bit of protection. Let's see what else we're going to do. Let's go ahead and give him a spell before we get into the nuts and bolts here of this Warscroll. So we're going to give him Tendrils of Agony. Oh wait, that's not what I want. Tendrils of Atrophy, sorry. So, casting value is 6. If successfully cast, pick an enemy unit within 12 of the caster that is visible to them. Until your next hero phase, subtract 1 from save rolls for the attacks that target that unit. So, more rend, basically. It's just it's gonna get nasty. So now we're up to maybe 3 rend, right? Because a lot of our units have 1 rend on their Warscroll. They're gonna get 1 rend from the Herdstone potentially, and now you got a spell that basically gives them one more rend. So wow. So this guy's gonna be flying around and sticking close to our Enlightened or our Shaman. So let's go ahead and get into his Warscroll because that'll make more sense. Okay, so he's got a 16-inch move because he's on a disc. He's got a 5-up save. He's got 6 wounds. Bravery's terrible like everybody else. For weapons, he's got a Staff of Change, 2-inch range, 1 attack, 4s and 3s, -1 d3 damage. Ritual Dagger, 1-inch range, 2 attacks, 4s and 4s, no rend, 1 damage. Teeth and Horns on the disc, 1-inch d3 attacks, 4s and 3s, -1 d3 damage, like everybody else, all the other Zinchi disc riders. He can fly. And all the guys on the disc can fly, so these guys can fly too. I don't know if I mentioned that. So we got 2 Shamans and the Enlightened can all fly. Okay, so his melee stuff. He's decent in melee, but you're not going to want to get him in melee because he's only got 6 wounds and he's got 5-up save. So even with his shooting protection, he's you don't want to be too risky with him, right? Because he does a lot for the army. So, abilities. Sorceress Elixir. Once per battle in your hero phase, this model can attempt to cast 1 additional spell. If it does so, you can re-roll 1 or both of the dice when you make the casting roll for that spell. Alright, so once a game he can cast 2 spells instead of 1. Alright, now here's where it gets interesting, okay? So Visions of the Future is for Skyfire, so we don't really care, but we'll read it just so you know, in case you summon on some Skyfires, I guess. Add 1 to the hit rolls for attacks made with a friendly Zangor Skyfire unit's Arrow of Fate, while that unit is wholly within 12 inches of the friendly Zangor Shaman. Cool. We're not running Skyfires in this particular list, so it doesn't really matter unless you summon some, which You very well could. Visions of the Past is what we're after. Add 1 to hit rolls for attacks made with a friendly Zangor Enlightened unit with their spears and vicious beaks while the unit is wholly within 12 inches of a Zangor Shaman. Okay, so now so our choppy unit just got even choppier, right? So now they're hitting on 3s and 3s. Re-rolling everything. Up to 3 rend with our stone and our spell and 2 damage, so yowzers, right? The general is going to be sticking, he's going to try to keep around where these, at least one of these units, hopefully both of them are, right? Because he can be within 12 of both of them. If not, then you got to run the second guy out, because that's more important than what the other thing we're going to talk about here. Okay, so he's got a spell. He's going to cast 1 spell unless he drinks his elixir, which is only once a game. So 1 spell, 1 unbind. But everything in your army can unbind, so that doesn't really matter. Boon of Mutation has a casting value of 7. That's his spell. If successfully cast, pick an enemy unit within 18 inches of the caster invisible to them. That unit suffers D3 mortal wounds. Sweet. There's some more. For each enemy model slain by these mortal wounds, you can add 1 new Zangor model to a single friendly Zangor unit. Each new Zangor model must be set up wholly within 12 inches of the caster and 1 inch of the unit they're being added to. Alright, so ideally you're going to have one of these guys flying around trying to stay between these Enlightened to give them their +1 hit. The other one you're going to have with your big block of Zangor so that you can replenish them with that spell. Okay? It's on a 7, so you're not going to get it every time. But if you, once per game, you can use it to use your elixir and get reroll for it if you really need to. So that's pretty sexy, right? So really, he's handing out buffs. So and we need 2 of them because we want the Enlightened to get their +1 to hit, and we want the Zangors to get their +1 from being around the Arcanaut hero, and potentially to replenish them. Okay. All right. So our second guy here, let's give him a spell. And you know what? Now we're going to go to our realm, which I tried to do earlier, and we're going to give him the Griff Feather Charm. So -1 to shoot in shooting. So he's -1 hit in shooting, and he's +1 to move, I think. So let's see, what are we going to give him a spell? Let's see. All right, so we're going to give him Vile Tide. Cast on a 6. If successfully cast, pick an enemy unit within 12 of the caster that's visible to him. The unit suffers D3 mortal wounds. If the unit is within 6 of the caster, it suffers D6 mortal wounds. So, depending on what role he's in, he can sneak up behind the Enlightened and do, if they're on something that they can't rinse, which is, I don't know what that would be, but he can throw, the 6 extra D6 damage on them, or he can help out the Zangors maybe if somebody's trying to clear them off of an objective or something. Alright, so we got 20 extra points, so let's see. The best 20 points you can spend. Soul Snare Shackles. They did it on purpose. Alright, so let's see. Summon the Shackles with a casting value of 5. So on a 5, you're going to summon them. Set up the Shackles wholly within 12 of the caster, and set up a second one and third one wholly within 6 inches of the first. So you got 3. This is a 3 model for the spell. Okay. So at the start of the movement phase, roll a dice for each unit within 6 of these shackles. On a 3, have the movement characteristic of that unit until the end of the phase. On a 6, that unit also suffers D3 mortal wounds. So we got 20 extra points. Since we only have the one big block of guys, we might need to try to slow some people down while we line up our attacks with our Enlightened. So it's just a handy spell to have. Alright, so that puts us at an even 2,000. This is the list that I'm playing around with. I think, like I said, somebody just won, I think, the UK Masters with the Beast of Chaos list, but I think I looked at the list, but I can't remember now exactly. I know he had 2 9-packs of Enlightened instead of the 6, and I think he had like a giant block of Raiders or Ungor or something. I'm sure you can find it. But this is kind of what I've been playing around with. It's like I said, these guys kill pretty much anything that they get to re-roll everything on. So as long as you line them up with the Raiders or the Ungors, you gotta line it up to where whatever is attacking your Ungors can't get to your Enlightened. And you will have to wait until all the, now that you have to attack things, you wait until that unit is forced to attack the Ungors, right? And then they probably kill enough of them for you to go right in, but even if they don't, you've got a 2-inch range on your spear, right? So you can get to them. It's better if they don't, because the discs get to fight too if they kill a bunch of Ungor. But anyway, that's kind of the plan. And then hopefully you're going to summon in a Chimera on turn 3 or 4 in their backfield or whatever, and that is a bad day. So you know what? I've been talking for a long time, and why not talk some more? So let's look at the Chimera real quick. So like I said, you're going to save up for a Chimera. I don't know, you might want more Enlightened. I mean, they're probably smarter, but if you're a fun player, you're going to bring in a big monster. So, okay, let's look at the Chimera real quick. So, I think, what did we say, 10 primordial? I'll look here in a second. So, for some amount of primordial call points, you can bring in the Chimera. Usually, if you get 1 per turn, then you bash out an Ungor's Brains for D3. So you can have, you could get 4 per turn tops with that without there's some other ways, but we didn't put them in the list. So on turn 3, you could get a Chimera out, okay? If you're lucky. Turn 3 or 4 is what we're shooting for here. So he's got a 10-inch move. He can fly. He's got a 5-up save. He's got 12 wounds, bravery, 6, whatever. So he's got missile weapon, fiery breath. 14-inch range. So what does fiery breath do? Let's read. Do not use the attack sequence for an attack made with the Chimera's fiery breath. Instead, the target suffers a number of mortal wounds on the table above. So it starts off D6 mortal wounds and goes down to 1. It's on a damage table. D6, D3, then 1 eventually. But so you just do D6 mortal wounds to anything 14 inches away, okay? And then we've got our avian head has 3 attacks, 1-inch range, 3s and 4s. It's got a 3 rend. It's on the rend's on the damage table, but it starts off with 3 and D3 damage. So think about that. He's coming in on turn 3 or 4. Your herd stone is going to be blown up to most of the board, right? So he's probably rocking a 4 rend, basically, pretty much. I keep saying basically all the time, sorry. It's one of my words that I say a lot. And then if the shaman happens to be nearby, you could get up to 5 rend, which I don't know why you would need to, but it's pretty cool, right? Draconic head, 1-inch range, 3 attacks, 4s and 4s, -1, 2 damage. Lionite head, or Leonin? It's the lion face. 1-inch range, 3 attacks, 4s and 3s, -1. The damage is D6 again. It's on the damage table, so D6, D3, and then eventually 1. Then he has his mauling claws, 2-inch range, 6 attacks, 4s and 3s, no rend, 1 damage. He's a beast, man. He can, like I said, he can fly. He's got a vicious charge, add 2 to his charge rolls. When he comes in on turn 3 or 4, and you've got your herdstone blown up. I mean, he's bad news, right? Whatever they're doing, they're focused on him for at least a turn. So I like him. So, but he's not really in the list. He's just our summon guy. Blam. So, what the hell? What did I do? Oh, I deleted the wrong thing. What did I delete? Oh, a battalion. Not that it really matters. Okay, so now we're at 2,000. Sorry, my OCD kicked in. There we go. Phantasmagoria. So this is, as soon as I got the book, I like I said, Slaanesh is my favorite, and we'll do Depravity Horde at some point. I'm still kind of tweaking on that one. But I love the Beast of Chaos, and I especially am glad that they gave us a way to run the God-marked Beast. So I'll probably do a list builder for each one of those battalions. I've run the Nurgle one a couple times, and I like it. It's more of a casual list probably, but most of my stuff's what I would consider casual. I mean, like I said, so my idea is kind of I want a chance to win against most lists, and that's what I call competitive. Like, can I go to, like, a lot of people like to say, well, can you go to a tournament and win X amount of games? Like, so if I could go to a tournament and win at least 3 games, I think it's a competitive list, right? That's kind of what to me, it's really, do I have a chance to win all of my games, right? That's kind of the way I look at it. So I might lose all of the games, but I was in all of them. I had a chance, I just didn't do the things I needed to do or whatever. Or you run up against a list that's really tough or a great player or whatever, and you lose. But do you have a chance to be in all of your games or whatever? And I think that most of the lists I put out, you can, maybe. I don't know. We're going off on a tangent here, but I think that the lists that have been winning the big tournaments the last couple months is kind of showing that it's more about playing your army than it is about taking the most overpowered stuff that's out. So Daughters of Cain right now is whatever 80%, and hate's a strong word. But I know that there's some people in the community that are doing a lot of great work to get like the statistics of the winning percentages and all that, and it's all really cool. But I think people need to keep in mind that like the air quotation best players, and I don't mean any disrespect by that, I just mean that the people that are perceived to be the best players, a lot of them take what is perceived to be the best list. So those guys are going to run Daughters of Cain or change host or whatever, and they're going to do well with them because those are good armies and they're good players. But that also means that they're not running Iron Jaws or KO or whatever, so that means that makes those armies, their winning percentage is going to be less because good players are not running them, I guess. And some people are like, well, yeah, that's how it works. But to me, that so you're not really getting a real representation of how good that army is, per se, because none of the best players are playing it, right? I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong, but I think KO is a really good example. Like, they had an army go to pretty far in the big Australian event recently, and nobody would have thunk it, and if whoever greatest player in Warcraft, I'm sorry, wow, don't hunt me down. Everybody, you love Warcraft too. Everybody does. But if they were playing KO, maybe KO wouldn't have, whatever, 10% win, or I don't know, I'm making up numbers now, but you get what I'm saying. Or not, I don't know. Anyway, I think a lot of the, like, you know, the internet and like the way it works, you know, people look. Everybody does this, right? When you start playing a game or whatever, you go and you look for what's good or what's, you know, you don't want to spend a bunch of money. Like there's a large monetary investment in this game, so you don't want to go and spend a bunch of money and then you go to play and get your teeth kicked in every game, right? So you get on the internet and you listen to, not me, but you listen to YouTube channels or whoever, and they're like, oh man, KO sucks. You're not going to go buy KO then, right? Even though you might like the models, you're going to buy whatever, Stormcast, or not, you know, you might not go buy the Daughters of Cain, that's the list, that's the great, you know, the change host list, but you might say, well, I like the way KO looks, but else, you know, that's what I like the most. But I like Stormcast okay too, and they don't suck, so I'm going to take them, you know, or whatever. So now I'm just rambling on, but whatever. No one's going to watch this, so it doesn't matter. Whoever's watching, if you like this video, give it a like. You're my hero. Anyway, we'll be back next time with some other list that no one cares about, and I'll ramble on for an hour again, so you can look forward to that. So alright, I'm going to call it a night. Like I said, I've got several more Beast of Chaos lists. I've just been kind of still tinkering with them. There's a ton of models and all of them. That's the thing. Like, I like to at least you know, I don't want to put two or 300 models on the list. No one wants to do that, right? Anyway, okay, I'm rambling, so I'm gonna call it there. Have a good night, everybody. We'll be back with more list builders and more other videos soon, hopefully. So, good night.